Hello guys, welcome to my guide for Demo in PvE. Let's first go over the build. So you take first row on rank 3. It will be your spammable abilities in all phases. Then you take Rift of Pain, because if you go giant form and you do Rift of Pain, you get Obsession. Then you take Seal of Chaos. It will be also one of your main DPS sources that you will spam at 60 Obsession. Then you take Ataxi. It will do damage and allows you to spam Last Ritual in Succubus form that I'm in at the moment. Then you take Aspect of Assault, obviously. Then you take Shadow Flight, which if you go into the dog form, you can jump with it and gain 60 Obsession. You also take Mania, it increases your damage. You can use it in all phases too. Then you take Sphere of Negation that you use in giant form. It repels all damage. Then you take Stream of Chaos. It will be your AoE spell. Like, it hits multiple targets. It's good to stack up Determination, and it does also decent damage. Then you take Veil of Madness. It's your main defense spell. It gives you 60% damage reduction. Then you take Expurgation. It's your healing spell that heals you quite a bit if you use it. Then you take Ill Will. It will give your whole party anti-CC, an anti-CC effect. Then you take Demonic Onslaught, which is basically a charge to gap close, and you also gain some Obsession. Then you take Veil of Darkness. It's also damage reduction around you. Then you take Banishment. It's your long CC. Then you take Apotheosis, which removes wounds and increases your HP. Then you take Temptation. It's your pull, which you can use to pull targets into your trap. Then you take Sigil of Decay, which you combine with, I can't show it on these mobs, but you will do Sigil of Decay. It's your bomb trap, and you pull mobs inside of it. And then, last and not least, you take Spark Eater. It's your tier skill, and it does very good damage. It increases your HP during the effect that you have on you then. And yeah. Then for the rubies, you basically just take the same as me. Like almost everything here. Then onto the second. If you have the Eden Ruby, you can take the Taunt, but it's not really necessary, but you can take it. Obviously the Stamina Rubies. And onto the third grid, you take all these rubies. Like, for example, Quiet Step. If you're in dog form, you use Quiet Step. Then you go Invis before you start a pack, for example. And then you hit. And you see you get this effect, a Shadow Hunter. It will increase your damage, but you have to stay in dog form. But it's worth it. And you also have this Invis, which will basically do the same. It gives you this damage buff and it increases your overall DPS. So we are done with the build. Now onto the stats. You use like 1-1 on Brute and Prof, and the rest goes all into Determination. For defensive stats, you use 900 Vitality, around 750 Bloodlust, and the rest into Caution, so you sustain a bit better in the packs and the bosses by AoEs and stuff. For the weapons, you can use either one hand with offhand, or you use a two hand. It's fully up to you. For the pot, you take holy damage because you do shadow damage, and it also shadow damage is the same as holy for Allods. So you take this one, then you take the PvE food, and you also take the holy damage potion. And for the defensive potion, whatever you like, you can take the bloodlust one, the vitality one, as I said, whatever you like. Then for artifacts, for compass, it's advised to take this, for example, to increase your damage, but most importantly the Lorelei, because if you use Power of Light, you will AoE dispel any debuffs on your party and yourself, so it's very, very useful. So before you start packs, let's imagine this dummy is a pack. You go into dog form, you do a jump, so you have obsession. Then you go invis, and when your tank starts, after he taunts, you start damaging it with your spammable skills. That's Desecration and Torment. And when you hit 60 obsession, you use Seal of Chaos just on repeat. Then you have Tide of Madness, which will increase your obsession, and you just spam the other skills until you have Seal of Chaos, and then you spam Seal of Chaos. Then you switch Succubus form to do Last Ritual. Last Ritual is one of your big DPS skills as well. But you also use Perennial Hunger because it will increase your obsession over time for 1 minute, which is really helpful. Don't forget to use Tide of Madness. Maybe use Giant form for getting obsession, then go back to spamming Seal of Chaos in Succubus form. Then this to gap close. Then you do your tier skill for more burst in AoE. I will DPS it for 2 minutes, so you see. You can also drop your bomb. It will give mobs vulnerability. Then for obsession again, invis to get damage buff. I will do more than 2 minutes to properly show it. Then Giant form for obsession. Always attacks you with Last Ritual because it's big DPS. And you use T, Veil of Darkness, for defense if you need it. And you use Veil of Madness also for defense if you need it. So that's about it for all the forms. That's how you rotate. You see I did, let's say 81 million DPS in 2 minutes 40 because I stopped DPSing around that. It's decent. I didn't do it the best, but with practice you can do even better. What you also can use if you want to stay in phase form, but you have to stay a bit ranged, you can use your racial ability, Astra Mutation. You can attack from 35 meters, that's like pretty much from dummy to here, which is pretty far. And you can still spam your abilities. Hi fellow demon boy. Yeah. And if you wanna AoE and stack up your determination, or it's a pack with a lot of AoEs needed, you can like do it in human form. You can still do the same in human form. Seal of Chaos, Desecration, Torment. Stream of Chaos is really good, but it would hit multiple targets, but it's only a dummy here. Then you do this again. Torment, Darkfire, always spam Darkfire off cooldown. Seal of Chaos, as in the phases too. Tide of Madness. And there you see you have like pretty decent AoE damage too. Like this damage is not the greatest as you see, because we're not in a phase, because in the phases you get damage buffs. But in AoE it would obviously be way more. And what I forgot to tell you, when you're doing like damage in phases, you should use Mania. It will increase your damage output by, don't let me lie, 30%. But you will also take like 5% more damage, but it's like whatever. You sacrifice a bit of your defense to do way more damage. So yeah, you see last ritual crit for 1.1 million and 50,000 damage, which is pretty good. I mean, obviously you won't have the same numbers in Compass. The further you go, the more resistant the mobs get, but you get my point. And when you're dropping low, you should use like giant form, like for example a debuff doesn't get dispelled on time, for example, and you don't want to die, you use apotheosis, and when you drop low you use reincarnation. And you can also use Fear of Negation if you taunt it for your tank, for example. So yeah, never forget Rift of Pain for Obsession, the jump for Obsession, and to go invis in the dog form, and always be a good DPS for your party. That's about it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.